Namaste, everybody. Good afternoon from India, good morning from Europe, and probably good evening from the Eastern countries. Today, we are very, very privileged to be here for the Viniyoga women interviews. And we have an extraordinary lady here today from Estonia called Katri. Hi, Katri. How are you doing?
Hello. Namaste. I'm good.
How is Estonia nowadays in the Corona pandemic times? How is it doing right now? Are you all safe? What is happening?
Well, actually, our numbers are going up and up, and the schools are, we have a school holiday now, but the schools will be closed next week. And the government is gonna decide today what they're gonna do, if they will be closed even longer or not. They started vaccinating and it's like that.
So sorry to hear that. So sorry, because in India we are a little bit lucky because our numbers are going down in most of the places, except maybe a few places. Everywhere else it's going down. Vaccination has also started. Let us hope that all the people around the world will get rid of this Corona crisis as soon as possible. There has been enough deaths so far. Anyway, my dear friends, we are so pleased that we are having this interview series called Sri Shakti, Viniyoga Women. And literally, we are interviewing a very, very powerful woman who belongs to the Viniyoga tradition. And we are very, very privileged to interview Katri. But before we speak a little bit more, we are going to invite Katri to do a chanting, which she likes very much. Katri is interested very much in chanting. So she will start with the chanting to begin this interview.
Gayatri Anusmarami Anukalang Kalyana Purnamaham Gayatri Sharanam Rajami Asharanya Sarvagha Nivrittaye Gayatri Chapato Nayami Sakalang Kalandaya Vigraha Gayatri Hisada Sumanasa Jayami Tatvatmika. Now you know how nervous I am inside from my voice.
It is okay to be nervous. It is okay to be nervous. For the benefit of our audience, can you kindly share a few words about this chant and why you chose this chant? What does it mean to you?
Well, it is composed by your grandfather. I'm not exactly sure why I like it or where I even heard it first, but somehow it connects with me, and we have chanted it with a lot of kids, and it connects with them as well. So that's why it is kind of special.
Thank you so much, Katri. Katri, now that you mentioned the kids, I really am very curious. Actually, I'm not curious because I know, but I'm sure the audience is very curious. You see, I'm also a bit nervous. The audience is very curious about what is it that you do. So perhaps, because I know the story, you could share your own journey of how you came to Viniyoga, when you came, and slowly what led you to do what you are doing right now in the school. It's very interesting for our audience to know. So please share.
Okay. Well, my journey to yoga started with my own children, because I started doing yoga when I was pregnant with my son. But this was like this, not Viniyoga, it was just like for pregnant women, everybody the same practice, this kind of thing. So that's where I got interested in yoga. And then later I joined Art of Living movement in Estonia. So I did some courses there, breathing and meditation and Ayurveda, and also hold a like study group in our local town for some years. But then I felt like it's not enough, like it is not, that I need something more. And just by chance, then I came to the meeting or a little course that you gave in Tallinn in 2011. It was called Heart of Yoga, I think. And it was just like a friend told me that, oh, there is this teacher, he's coming to Tallinn, and come along. I didn't know anything about Viniyoga or Krishnamacharya or nothing. So, and that, well, this is how it kind of started. Then you told me that please do go to this Vedic chanting course. So I did. And then from there, the yoga therapy training. It's a very short version, huh?
Yes.
Yes, and then at some point I felt like, because I was also working already with the children here in Estonia at the local Waldorf school. And somehow the children just came to me with all kind of different problems and troubles, and parents came to ask me questions, and I felt like I cannot help them. And that was the time when I asked you that, can you take some Estonian children, can you, make courses with them, because I didn't know how to do it myself back then. And then we started seeing the children together. And so from there on, it kind of.
And what did it lead to? Because I think that is important. What you are doing right now, I think is very important. And you can also share how the government is even supporting you. So I think that's a good story as well for many people to find inspiration.
Yes. So now I have like 4 jobs. I'm working in 2 local schools. I started in Rakvere Gymnasium, and the director of the school and the headmaster of the school have been very supportive from the beginning. So first I started now 7 years ago. So first I just gave 1 yoga class. First year, second year, they got the headmaster asked me that if I can give some classes to children who have special needs. And in Estonia, we have those small classes, we call them small class kids. You can have their special needs children, you can have children with learning difficulties, you can have children who just need smaller class, or they have behavior problems and so on. And she told me that, gave me like a goal that please make those children in a way that they can be taught, that the teacher can give lessons to them, because they are so, all over the place. So then first I had like a kind of yoga therapy for groups of children. And then 1 year on, I said, can I have also individual classes, because then it will be much better and so on. And they said yes. So from that time on, I have like 1 group class and 1 individual class each week. And the number of the children have been grown. And then another school in the same town called me that, oh, can you come also and do the same thing for us? So I also teach there, but just group classes, no individual classes. So it's a little bit different. And then I have my own school. I've been giving classes since I think 2012 for kids. But to make it like a good school with curriculum and through yoga and all that, so that took some time, and that has been now opened now 2nd year. So I have kids there as well, and I have my own yoga therapy clinic or a place that I take people or see people.
That's excellent. Before this interview, I was just looking through our own journey together, dealing with all the young kids. And I think since we started, I think in the year 2013 to start giving classes.
Yes.
And I think the first students were actually your children. But
yes.
Then so some others. And I've been seeing that since that time till today, we have interacted together and given classes to more than 200 times.
Wow.
People, more than 200 times to different children. Some of the children have had multiple classes, of course, because I have a special folder only for the Estonian students with the youth. So I have I think we have given more than 200 classes. That's amazing. And what I want to say is that you just mentioned how more and more your classes are growing, where the school children are coming to you for help, which I think is a sign of two things I would like to say. One is the fantastic work that you are doing. And the second is probably the not so fantastic work the schools are doing, because they are finding it difficult to help the children. So it's very, very good. And my dear friends, what I want to share is that Katri is teaching a lot of children who are having greater difficulties fitting into schools, fitting into the normal classes, and often diagnosed as kind of borderline special children or children with special needs, etc., autistic or otherwise. And in some cases, they may be true, but in some cases, it's not true. It's just that they need some special care so that they can kind of connect to themselves. And I think this is where the yoga is really, really very, very helpful. And also, Katri, your patience is very helpful, because I've seen how you are relating with the children, and that's very, very fantastic. My question to you now, Katri, is how is it helping you to do all this as a woman? I'm wondering whether if you had been a male, whether you would have been able to achieve what you have achieved, or whether that you are a woman is giving you some special powers. I believe being a woman itself is a superpower to help these people. And I'm just wondering, what is your feeling about it?
I'm not sure. Maybe when we talk now about those special needs kids, then a lot of them, maybe they seek this feminine kind of support more than they would seek maybe male support, or maybe they even have like bad experience with men. So maybe that has helped somehow. I don't know. But in Estonia, it's very common that all the teachers are female. We have very few male teachers.
That's interesting. But what I also want to bring to the fact, and the reason I'm asking this question is, many times I have met your students, both online as well as in Estonia, where we have met face to face. And almost always, the children are always accompanied by their mothers, never the father.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking that question.
Well, maybe they have easier to relate to a mother or a woman, or even to receive any kind of warmth or love or from a female rather than a male. I haven't really thought about it like this, but.
But do you agree with my observation? I have not met.
Yes.
I have not met any father of any of these children, but I've met many of the mothers.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Some fathers have also, they just walk away, you know, the father is not even in the picture. So
I apologize on behalf of all fathers for this kind of behavior.
we have now also fathers like coming on, and even the families maybe that started with the mother, or the mother was the like initiator of asking help and so on. The fathers are now also more, some immediately, but some take time, and then they are really also kind of coming along, especially the long-time students that we also know together, because I've met now some of the fathers as well.
I will ask you another question, which I think is related to this as well. Many people around the world would love to help children, especially children with difficulties and challenges to learn and study. So from your experience, what do they need to keep in mind? What are the things that are important for the teachers who want to teach these young children with challenges, with learning difficulties, emotional difficulties, etc.? What are the key things that they have to keep in mind?
Well, first, the child has to trust you. And that can be achieved best in one-to-one classes. That even the children who are have behavior problems, or they might even be violent or something. If you have one-to-one class, I have had no child who was not opened up for me, and or been violent in that context. They are not, because they're all in trouble. It doesn't matter if it is if you take the violent relationship, it doesn't matter if it is the one who's been bullied or the one who is bullying. They're both in trouble. They both need help. So that's like first thing, because now it is very often that well, in Estonia it goes two ways. The school can take the side of the bullier or the other one. Usually the one who's been bullied is told that, oh, you know, you need to start taking medication now, like anti-anxiety drugs or something, because somebody's hitting you at school or something like this. So they both need help. You have to work with both of them. That's like one thing. And they need environment where they're accepted. And you really have to listen to them and to see what they need, because very often we don't do that. We want to kind of fit them into what fits for us. And very often children who are in trouble, they all have some special talent, or sometimes they even have like spiritual kind of talents, I would say. And maybe that is one of the reasons why they are kind of special, that they perceive the world differently. And the relationship should be based on love, and they will know it. Especially the more the problematic the children are, or even if they are from families that maybe have violence in there, they are so good readers of people. They know exactly what you are feeling, what you're thinking. You don't even have to say anything, they know. So you really have to work with yourself. And you never can blame a child I feel that I make so many mistakes every day, and I come home and I think like, how can I reach this child better? How can I make this class better? What does he or she need, and so on. And sometimes it's very, very difficult to help kids, especially when sometimes parents don't care. Or so then what do you do? It's difficult.
Or maybe they are too much suffering to care.
Yes, yes, of course they have their own. They are too much suffering. Yes, they have their own difficulties, and the child is in the background. And any kind of healing, I find that any kind of healing can start only when you are in a safe environment. As long as you are in this hostile environment, be it at home or at school or whatever, the healing cannot actually start happening truly. I mean, especially in family context, that you have to be safe. Only then the healing can start. And even then it is difficult. So I don't know if I answered your question now, but
yes, you are answering very well, very well. I don't have an expected answer. I just am interested in listening to your answer. Which draws me to the next question, because you have taught so many young kids successfully so far. And again, we have together taught a lot of yoga to the kids. What do you think is unique about the Viniyoga tradition that has been helpful for your work with the children? Not only for you as a teacher on one hand, but more importantly for the children on the other hand. How has the Viniyoga been very effective and very helpful for them?
well, because it's one-to-one, because it's individual for sure, because they need that. Like at my own school, yoga school, that we have created this space that the children can be themselves. They can just be who they are. They have this one place that they can be who they are. And no violence is allowed at our school. If you're violent, then you cannot take place in the classes. You can take individual classes, that's fine, but not in group classes. It's just not happening there. So they have the space to really be who they are, to express freely, not being afraid to judge and so on, or to be judged. Forgot the question, what you asked me.
How has Viniyoga been helpful for the children?
Yeah. I also think that a lot of children, they intuitively connect through chants and through different practices we do, because we have so many tools. So it can be chanting, it can be asana. I also use a lot of thinking exercises, mind expanding exercises, not so much breathing. In older classes, also breathing, creativity, and so on. And they feel connected somehow. Like even like this, I just give you this one little story about, we have this, you also know him, but a boy who was very like lively, but somehow chanting is just somehow calms him down, and he's very interested in chanting. And a few weeks ago, he came and he said that that his grandmother has a coronavirus, and he was worried, and he was helpless. And I said, oh, but you can send her this Aditya Kavacham protective chant, and you know that chant, and you can send it to him. And then he told me that, do you also have a Kausthub version of that chant? He wanted your voice. So I said, yes, I have. So I sent it to him, and he sent it to her grandmother, and the grandmother was actually listening with the auntie this chant, and well, she got better, and I don't know if because of the chant or because of whatever, but I mean, she got better, and he was happy, he could do something for his grandmother. But he also felt this difference, like he wanted your chant because he had some connection with you.
Yes, I know, because the last time we were together, he was in the restaurant with us. And before leaving, he was asking, when are we coming back? And when are you coming back? And when are we eating together again? You know? So he's a good boy. And that's very good example. But what I am very amazed about, which I think you should explain even to me, because I don't know how you managed it, is you managed to teach a whole set of children from Estonia who have no connection to the Indian culture, chants like Aditya Kavacham, which are not easy chants to chant, but they are learning it, and along with all the gestures, you know, to which we are usually supposed to do, and they are doing it so well. Last time I was in Estonia, we were in the school and they were all doing it, which was amazing. So how did you manage to do that? What is it that they find it interesting about that? That these young children who have no idea what these chants mean or where it comes from, but they are doing it so well. It's amazing because many Indian children don't do it. It's a sad thing. Many Indian children don't know what it is.
I don't know exactly what I do, but I just also when you work with kids, then you have to understand that whatever you give them, they will take it as a teaching. If you decide, if you say that mantra is part of yoga, breathing is part of yoga, asana is part of yoga, thinking, the mind, everything, the soul is part of yoga, then they will take it, they will just receive it like this. So it's up to a teacher to teach what yoga is, because they are just coming, they don't know what yoga is. They come to you, they're totally open. So it's up to you to say that this is yoga. And so they will receive it like this. And it makes sense because also in Estonia, we are still, I think, more connected to nature than maybe some other Western countries. And for Estonian children, it is easy to accept or know that they have a soul. It just comes like naturally. And we also make some like exercises so that they can experience this soul. I make these kind of exercises, like for example, if I tell them that the mind is everywhere, then I say, to prove it, I make an exercise so they can actually feel it, that yes, that's true. And same with the soul. And so it makes sense to them because it is some kind of part in them that is left underdeveloped in a way, because nobody actually deals with it, and they have no support to that part of themselves. So then the yoga has become like a part maybe that looks into it more, and they can validate it. They're not alone. They're not like one boy told me that, okay, I'm telling you all this, but I'm not gonna tell it to my psychologist because they just think that I'm mad. So there's a little boy, like I don't know, second grade maybe, and he already knows that, oh, for this person I'm not gonna tell it because they're gonna, you know,
it's exactly what I was going to say.
But I'm gonna tell it to you.
And exactly what I was going to say. He's so smart that he knows who to tell and who not to tell. And basically, he has figured out, his psychologist, that he or she is inadequate to deal with his problems, you know, because they don't understand the full nature of it. And this is very fascinating that you say this, because you're saying about how these young boys and girls in Estonia know about the soul already, which was also what was fascinating about to me when I met these young children in my last visit. What is fascinating is that that's how it was in traditional India, where the young boys and girls would be sent to the teachers' wishes at a very young age, about 7 or 8 years old, and they would already be having discussions with their teacher about the spirit, the nature of the soul, the nature of the spirit already at that age. You know, many of the Upanishads are talking about the conversation between a young student and an older teacher. All these students are 8 years old, 9 years old, and they are talking about the spirit, the God, the divine spirit, the individual spirit, and things like that. And somehow we underestimate, don't you think, as adults, the intelligence of the children.
Absolutely.
Now we underestimate the intelligence of the children.
Yes, that's what upsets me. It upsets me deeply that all system and a lot of adults, they assume that children are stupid. And that kind of upsets me, that because they are not. They are so intelligent, they are more open and more spiritual than we are. So we should actually learn from them, and we should be open to hear what they have to say and what their experiences are. I have one girl that draws pictures, and she puts there like nadis, you know, like Ida and Pingala and Shushumna. I have never thought about it. I have never talked to her about this, but she feels it, where they are and how the energy flows, and she sees it in herself.
You have that picture to show us?
No, but it's in the Facebook page and the.
Okay, good. A little earlier, you said that there is a lot of things that children can teach us. What is it that you have learned from teaching the children, from the children? Now, you are their teacher on the one hand, but like you just said, they can also be our teachers. What is it that you have personally learned from them that has made you a better person?
Patience, for sure. Endurance. Also that some kids, they come from absolutely horrific backgrounds, but they still somehow have the perseverance, and they somehow still have beauty inside them and hope and care for others, and you just wonder, like, how do they do that? Or children who actually heal themselves, young children who heal themselves. I have those experiences as well, that they are doing that, or children who are so smart that they already deal with their grantees, and they deal with the darknesses inside of them. They see the if it is like ancestral traumas, or if it is even from the past life traumas, and they're actually dealing with them, and they're just children, and they can do that, and the adults cannot do that. You know, face something like this very often, and I have those children who do it, and they also understand it, and they know it, and they feel it where it is inside of them. So I think these are like some of the.
I think this also is a credit to you, because these children are opening to you, which they probably will not open to other people as well, because there are many yoga teachers, there are many psychotherapists, there are many healers, but the children are not really opening to all of them. And I think that is also a credit to you. You have to accept that, you have to appreciate that. Now comes a little tricky question for you. Are you ready? Now, you have taught so many children, and you have your own children. Have you taught your children or your children into yoga? And what has your experience been, if they are into yoga or not into yoga? What is your experience been with your own children compared to the other children? Or even if you don't have to compare, you can just say what has been the challenges and what has been the benefits of teaching your own children, if you are teaching.
Well, they were your first students, or our first students, as you pointed out. It was because I got divorced, and I felt like they needed some support, and yoga seemed a good thing. And I remember that my son got immediately a practice, And my daughter really wanted also a practice, but she had to wait. She didn't give her, so she had to wait like a year or something, and she was upset about it. But then she got it. They have been with me a long time, and they both know how to chant. I've given them personal practices. My son is practicing now every day, more or less. But I feel, and he also feels like that maybe I'm not like he should have another teacher, which he has in the face of you, but because he's already so old, I feel that he maybe is a bit weird to have a mother for a teacher. And also he can also, discuss some things maybe that he wants to discuss. My daughter now she's a teenager, and she's kind of against everything that I do. So, she's not really doing, she does sometimes when she really is in trouble, some health troubles, then she does it, but otherwise no. My son also had the same kind of, it's like 7th grade, he also had this against yoga kind of thing, and then he moved on. But before that, they have taken part of my classes, well, for some years. So. But it's much more difficult to teach your own kids because you are more, I don't know if attached, but it is much more difficult to take space from them, because if I have another student, then I can just be like an observer and see, in a distance what he or she needs, and it doesn't matter what he does, if he's angry or if it is sad or. But if it's your own kids, then it is much more a challenge. Also because there is this too much closeness in a different level, I think. That.
I understand, because I also have a teenage daughter in whose eyes whatever I do is wrong, which I think is a phase, and hopefully she will come out of that. But also, being a father and a teacher is a bit challenging as well, because like you said, the distance is not it's too close.
Yes.
And so sometimes that is an obstacle, but it's very good that your children are doing yoga, and it's fantastic about it. A question I'm slowly interested in is, I've been talking about this with the other ladies as well, who I've interviewed in the past, which is that there's a lot of women now who face a lot of issues about the body image, how their body appears, and this and that. Do you find the same with the teenage girls that you're teaching? And if so, how do you address it? How do you deal? Do they talk to you about it? What kind of advice do you give them?
Well, I have to say that I have like two types of students. One are those government schools or the special need ones, and other ones are the ones that attend the yoga school. And in yoga school, the children who already come there, their parents are already more aware, I feel. Their parents are already different. So they don't really have these kind of, they don't go along with those mass flows so much. And I have not noticed at yoga school that it is such a problem. I have noticed in a society, yes, that they diet and already in a very young age, and look how they look, and they have to look good in their social media pages and all this kind of thing. But in yoga circles, as far as I know, it is not that big an issue, because I think these children, they accept who they are much more better.
That's very that's very heartening to hear. That's very wonderful to hear, because that's very, very important that they have that attitude when they are very young. I think it's very heartening to hear. Now, I know that you give a lot of energy to these children. You give a lot of affection, which basically means that you're giving away a lot of energy from your side, your prana, you're giving this. How do you nourish yourself? Because some of the children that you're dealing with are quite challenging, so it needs a lot of energy. It can exhaust you, it can deplete you. How is it that you are nourishing yourself? How is it that you are taking care of yourself?
Well, lately, the best thing for me is that I just have to connect with my own soul and divine. That like gives me also reminds me who I am. It's a good thing. And sometimes this connection is stronger, sometimes it's weaker. It also like indicates to me like what is the state of me. And I also use breathing. Of course, I have my own practice as well. But if you do breathing and if you do chanting, then it also indicates again how you are feeling. I have some cleaning rituals if I'm really in trouble to clean myself. And sometimes it takes time. I don't get rid of it with one day. It takes, more time.
And what about the visits to the forest that you are doing often from time to time? Do you think that is also helping you? That it helps you that you are near
Yes, nature helps me a lot to clean and to connect and to be kind of one with nature. It helps me a lot. It's just that I haven't had so much time to do it now, because if it's weekdays, then the days are quite full and long, and I have no way that I can go in the morning or evening to the forest. And weekends also just kind of go very fast. So not so much forests during the winter time. But I have gone skiing in the forest, so that's also like kind of helping.
What is your vision for the future of, let's say, yoga in Estonia? Because you're teaching so many of the young children. Do you feel that they're going to continue learning with you? Do you feel that they would like to learn more things? What is your vision of what you would like to have in the future?
I would like that more children would come to yoga, not just special needs children, because now I feel like many parents come to yoga when there is something wrong with their child, but they don't come to yoga when the child is just normal child so much. And they don't realize or they don't appreciate what yoga can do, because if this yoga can change this special needs child to a normal child, can you imagine what it can do with a normal child? where that child can go. And people have not really realized that yet, that if and maybe we cannot even imagine that, even as parents, that so that is like one thing I would like, that more just all kind of children would come to yoga. And if I think even further than that, then of course it would be good if the education would be even more organized, and more teachers. And of course we have to start doing some teacher trainings, because it's just me. I have one other woman who is helping me, who is learned a little bit of children's yoga, but we need more of those very qualified teachers, I think, and yoga therapists, And create some kind of system that actually embraces all of the talents that the children have. Like if a child is speaking English when he's going to first grade, then it should not be considered as a handicap. It should be cherished. The child should be, maybe, you know, he can learn some subject in English. Maybe he can even participate in some international classes or whatever. Also, if a child is speaking Russian, we have a lot of children who speak Russian, and they are ending up in this, small class. If you already speak Russian, then that also should be cherished, and that child should be taught more about this, his roots and his culture and all that. Not like he has to be shamed almost about it, you know. And all those different things. It's just languages, but there are so many other skills that the kids have, and they're not taken into account. They only focus like what you cannot do.
Okay, one more question I have, because you are very, you talked a lot about Estonia, that Estonia children have a special understanding of the soul and this and that, which I can understand because I know that from my own experience of them. It looked like Estonia has a lot of very magical, special places in the country itself. Can you talk a little bit about them, and can you talk about how those have influenced you as well in your own life, and how it is influencing the children's life as well that you are teaching?
Well, I don't know if there has been, like, you mean special place, like a holy place, I know, but I mean, I've grown up in an environment that it has become me. So it is difficult for me to pinpoint, or maybe I of course appreciate it, but I mean, if you're a child, it just happens to you. You don't think about it like that this is part of me, or where does it come from. And I think the children who are fortunate enough to live in the countryside, you can see that they're also different. The souls are much more deeper. The details that are in the souls are much more deeper. It's like, and I had those ancestors, that I had a person who was dealt with forest. Another one was born in the forest and was very much into flowers. And the other one was the one who was growing all kind of crops and knew all about how to grow your own food, and some good cooks in there. So I have like this very big foundation, like that. And we were very much in nature when we were kids. The sea, the rivers, the forest, the meadows. And my mother was studying plants. So I know, and already when I was a little girl, then she was always telling me this flower is, the names of the flowers, the names of the different grasses and all this kind of thing. So I think it is more rich, the inner world, or the connection. And if I can say that, then when my grandfather was living with us at the end of his life, then he told me that when he was young, then they actually went to the forest because they had those forest hay fields. And so they lived there in the forest, and they were cutting the hay with all those forest flowers and so on. Then they were drying it on like some huts and they were sleeping on it. And then I was thinking, like, I sensed that he's like this soul, or his inner life is so much richer than mine, because he has experienced all those forest delicate flowers and smells and voices and all this that goes with it. So my generation, I think, is already poorer.
Well, let's hope it comes back, the nature comes back. Since you mentioned about your mother, I'm sure people will be very happy to know that even your mother and father practice yoga. So how does it feel for you that you have 3 generations of people practicing yoga, your parents, you, and your children? How does it feel for you? It's very unusual in modern Western countries, at least. In India, it's more common, but in Western countries, it's not so usual.
Well, I'm happy about it. It feels good because one thing, if you really want to help your children, then you have to start working with yourself. And when I started yoga, then all this bag of family karma, if you like, I felt was like on my shoulders. So if my children started practicing, it a little bit lightened it. So if my parents start practicing it, then it also a little bit lightens it, because the bloodlines go, and like if my father does it, so then it also makes my load lighter and makes my children's load lighter. So I'm very grateful that they are doing it.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. The next question, since our topic is about Viniyoga, women, especially focused on women, how do you feel being a woman in these times? And how do you feel? And what is it that is your message to other women like you?
Like me? You mean like teachers?
Or anybody, just any woman.
Don't let anybody to belittle you, to make you less than you are, no matter who it is.
If I can assist you to give your view, in your view, what is the biggest challenge for the modern woman?
To be everybody, to be a mother, to be a father very often, to be like a successful career woman, to be a partner. It's just too much. You have to make some choices there. The expectations are too much.
And yet, if one of the genders can manage it, it's probably the woman who can manage it much more than the man. I think a man collapses with all these responsibilities much more easily than the woman would collapse.
Probably, yeah. It's also not expected from a man, all those things. But from a woman, it's been expected. And also for a woman, or maybe it's more for mothers, it is, in my experience, always listen to your inner voice about some decisions you make. Because the biggest mistakes that I have made, like regarding with my children or myself, is like when I have listened to somebody who is supposedly wiser and older maybe, and who's supposed to know better, specialist maybe even, that if you have this strong connection to yourself, and if you have this inner voice, then listen to that. That's most likely to be right.
And yet there you are, Katri, you have managed most of these responsibilities very well. You are a mother, you are a teacher, you are having 4 jobs, so you have a good career, and you have really managed everything very well. So congratulations, you must be very proud, and you are a good example for many other women, I'm sure. I mean, as you said, you're not perfect, but you're close to being as perfect as possible to what is achievable. Of course, we all make mistakes, but you've done a good job. You should be very proud of it.
Well, there are so many challenges. Well, for the women also, just take care of yourself, you know, just find something that nourishes you and takes care of you, and then you can handle everything better. And then there are still gonna be a lot of challenges, but they're not so as difficult to manage anymore.
I think that's the most important thing, to take care of oneself. My father always used to say, care for the care provider is as important as care for the care seeker. And many, many women are playing the role of a care provider as a mother, as a partner, as a boss, as an employee. It's a very interesting thing. Women play that nourishing role much, much more than men do. Like we were talking earlier about how so many of the children who are brought to your classes are always accompanied by the woman who is providing that care, providing that support, being there. So I think that is why the care for the woman is also quite important. You're absolutely right. Good. So we are almost 1 hour into this interview. So it would be a very good time for you to say any last few words that you want to freely, and maybe conclude with another chant that you love to chant for the people.
I have another chant. I'm not sure if it is okay.
Please, you can chant.
It's from Sandhya Vandanam. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, for all the people, I'm very grateful, of course, for all of my teachers and all of my students as well. But if there are no students, then you cannot really teach anybody. So, okay. Om Keshavaya Namaha. Om Narayanaya Namaha. Om Madhavaya Namaha. Om Govindaya Namaha. Om Vishnave Namaha. Om Madhusudhanaya Namaha. Om Trivikramaya Namaha. Om Vamanaya Namaha. Om Shridharaya Namaha. Om Rishikeshaya Namaha. Om Batmanabhaya Namaha. Om Damodaraya Namaha.
Thank you so much, Katri, for this wonderful conversation, and thank you for doing the wonderful work that you're doing with the young children. I think that they are our future. So you're giving them a good platform for the future. And so hopefully things will turn around and life will become a little bit better for the future. And thank you to all the people who have been there today, who have been part of this conversation, both live and perhaps those who will hear it later. Thank you, my friends, for being part of this conversation and encouraging us to continue these talks. Namaste, friends, and see you in a couple of weeks. Namaste, Katri. Thank you.
Namaste.